Welcome to topic 6. So we're going to talk about process design and management. So we did talk about project management, but now we're going to talk about the actual processes. So we always start off a new topic with a quote. So let's go off of a quote by W. Edwards Deming. He's one of the founders of continuous improvement, quality improvement. So if you can't describe what you are doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. What does that mean to you? If you can't describe it as a process, you don't know what you're doing. Have you ever been asked to describe something step by step? I remember when I was in my bachelor's degree and I was asked to explain how to sharpen a pencil. And I had to explain it step by step as a process. And I was like, you just sharpen your pencil. But then when I thought about it, I thought about all the steps you do. For example, you got to have a pencil to start with, right? Then you have to realize or acknowledge that it needs sharpening. And then you have to find a pencil sharpener. At that time, they were mounted to walls. You'd stick the pencil in and you'd turn a crank. Some of you might still remember those. Some of you might not. But then after a couple cranks, you would take it out and you'd usually blow on it because it still has some pencil shavings on it and take a look. Is it sharp? No. Put it back in, crank it a few more, repeat the process. And once it was sharp, you were done. So I hope that illustrates, if you can't describe what you're doing as a process, you don't know what you're doing. If you can describe it as a process, then you do know what you're doing. So let's take it a couple companies that look at the process and how they manage that. So the art and science of designing work to get repeatable tasks done efficiently and effectively. So let's take McDonald's, for example. If you were to go into any McDonald's around the world, they would be doing the same thing to make a hamburger or make a salad or make a chicken sandwich, whatever your preference is. They follow the same exact steps everywhere in the world to make that sandwich. How they make the fries, they follow a set procedure. So that's the science of it, but it's an art form too because somebody had to create that, right? Well, let's take a look at Mercedes-Benz. So when Mercedes-Benz is interviewing people to hire, they're thinking of the mindset that they're not making cars. Mercedes-Benz doesn't make cars. They're building a Mercedes-Benz. So they're already saying from their own mindset that they don't make a car. They're building a Mercedes-Benz. So they're saying they're above a car, which some people have a preference for Mercedes-Benz, others don't. And it's up to you if you like them or not. But when they bring in a new hire to work on the assembly lines for these vehicles, they bring them in and put them on a mock assembly line. And if that person does a shortcut or doesn't follow the Mercedes-Benz way of doing things, they don't get the job. Because they want people to follow the process. It doesn't matter the speed. The speed comes with knowing what you're doing. But if they screw up on the process, that person won't be hired. So Mercedes-Benz has the goal of hiring only people willing to work the Mercedes way. Now, what about UPS? UPS is trying to come up with innovative ways. Sometimes a UPS driver is out delivering packages for over 12 hours a day. So what's one way to cut down on package delivery? Well, there's actually a Department of Homeland Security requirement that they turn off their vehicles. Probably so they don't get stolen and whatnot, but they have to turn off their vehicles. That's why you see UPS drivers, when they're just running out of the truck to drop a package off at your front door, they turn off their vehicles. Well, UPS came up with a device where they hit a button on it, and it might be connected to their belt or whatnot, just like a remote control you might have for your car. It would turn off the engine and would unlock the door so they can get into the cargo space. So they noticed that this saved almost 2 seconds per stop. Now, when you do the math, that comes up to about 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes a day. So 6.5 minutes. while it doesn't sound that great when we're trying to look at maybe a 12-hour workday, 6.5 minutes is something that can help the bottom line of the company, because that driver maybe can deliver another package or two, so that route can maybe be expanded a little. So when we're looking at the process, we're not just looking at the end result. We're looking at each individual step. How does this step take the inputs, do an operation, and output that to the next step as an input for the next step? So remember, back to topic 1, we had the inputs, the operation, and the output. And we're looking at this here. We're looking at the actual input, operation, output step. But we're focusing on the process. And sometimes the process will be multiple steps. Sometimes it's just one step. But we're looking at that. So let's go ahead and move on and figure out what is a process, because we need to know what a process is so we can analyze it and manage it, right? All right, we'll see you in the next video.